Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and today the first 24 hours of the Trials of Osiris inside Destiny 2 have been done. It's over, and what I want to bring you guys today, and gals out there, is a video showing you what the meta is in Trials right now, so that if you want to go flawless like I have, I've gone flawless on every character. I've helped carry 2 people. If you guys and gals out there want to get carried, I am live streaming it today. Right as this video goes live, my live stream will be live, and I'll be helping carry people in Trials. But I want to show you what the meta is and why I think these weapons are so extremely strong and why you should be using them if you're trying to go flawless, not just once, but maybe on all 3 characters. And there's also extra cards that you can do so you can get repeated loot in Trials. It's really, really cool. The new Trials that they've set up inside Destiny 2 has ultimate replayability, and it's really, really fun. So I'm going to pull up the stats here from the API, and these are the stats of what is the most used weapons inside Trials of Osiris. So the number 1 weapon is Hardlight. Surprise, surprise. The meta has truly shifted. Before, we would have imagined seeing Spare Rations up there at the top, but Spare Rations is actually down here like at the number 6 spot. The buffs to auto rifles have been very potent, and Hardlight has no drop-off range, has really good stability on mouse and keyboard. Even on controller, it's good. It's such a good, well-rounded weapon. If you ricochet the shots, they do double damage, so it's just a great weapon. It's just an all-around good weapon. It's great for team shooting. Obviously, the range is insane, and so the Hardlight is the number 1 most used weapon. And if you're trying to go flawless, or if you're struggling to go flawless, definitely give it a try. Try out the Hardlight. Maybe give it a try in some classic mix before you go into Trials. But either way, the Hardlight is extremely strong. The second most used weapon is Revoker, which isn't a surprise at all. It's basically like a watered down Icebreaker, which was extremely powerful back in Destiny 1 if you played any Trials back then. You get ammo back if you miss the shot, and you can just continuously fire off a lot more sniper shots with this than any others. And of course, it pairs perfectly with Hard Light. You can use Revoker in your kinetic slot, Hard Light in your energy slot. Boom, boom. You got the 2 together. The third most used weapon is Mindbender's Ambition. They did slightly nerf shotguns. The aim down sight range was nerfed, but they're still extremely potent, and they're still very consistent from a close range, so it doesn't surprise me that Mindbender's is there. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use a Mindbender's Ambition with a Hardlight, though, so I imagine that people that are using Mindbenders are, in fact, using the 4th weapon, Suro's Regime, as their kinetic, or maybe even Spare Rations. And so, you got the Suros here, which hit the number 4 spot so far, and we're within the first 24 hours of Trials. There's only 3 more days left. I imagine there's not going to be a giant shift in this. This is probably the way that the meta is going to end for the first weekend of Trials, and I'm going to try and monitor this. I'm going to try and keep like a regular meta report on the YouTube channel, so that way you guys can keep up to date with what is extremely strong in the game. So we got Suro's Regime here. I've used this as well, extremely strong. Make sure you're using the fast fire rate one, not the high fire rate one. It tends to be a little bit better, the fast fire rate one. The Beloved Sniper doesn't surprise me at all. Beloved is the only sniper that can get quick draw and snapshot at the 90 RPM, and it's really, really nice sniper. So that doesn't surprise me there. Spare Rations being as low as it does surprises me a little bit, but at the same time, Spare Rations has always been risk reward. You know, if you shoot a hand cannon shot and miss, you're increasing that time to kill exponentially, versus if you shoot a hard light shot and your aim is off, you are increasing your time to kill, but it's much more forgiving. Auto rifles, you know, full auto weapons are much, much more forgiving than single fire weapons. So it doesn't surprise me that Spare Rations is as low as it is, but I will say this, that the majority of people that are successfully winning a lot of games, streamers, YouTubers, and high skilled players, will be using Spare Rations over the Hard Light or the Suros or any of these really, because the aerial movement that comes with it is so much better. You can put Icarus on this and you can fly around the air, especially if you're a hunter or even a warlock. So definitely consider using this. If you have been using this for a while, if you have a lot of time with Spare Rations, use the Spare Rations. Like, I continue to use Spare Rations, and I did really well. I got flawless on all my characters. I got 4 flawlesses, and then I helped 2 people, and I used Spare Rations almost the entire time. I did mess around and use these 2 auto rifles, but mostly I was just using Spare. So it's still a really strong weapon. It's not ranked as high as the others, but it definitely can compete. Not Forgotten is up here. Not Forgotten is probably a lot more commonly used with controller players, so if you're a controller player out there and you have a Not Forgotten, I'm sure it's still really strong, still really potent. I imagine the Not Forgotten will probably vanish off in the future iterations of Trials. We'll see as Hardlight becomes more well-known and well popularly known as how forgiving it is, and the Not Forgotten is ultimately so unforgiving. Although me personally, I don't play a ton of consoles, so maybe you console players out there in the comment section can let me know how strong, how potent you think it is. But honestly, I can't imagine a world where Not Forgotten can even come close to Hardlight, especially how forgiving Hardlight and auto rifles are. But who knows? We'll see what happens in week 2, week 3, week 4 of Trials. The Dustrock Blues, a kinetic shotgun. That doesn't surprise me either. Obviously, as you switch around, if you're using a Hardlight, you might want to use, instead of a Revoker in your kinetic slot, you probably use a Dustrock Blues. If you don't want to use Sniper, if you're more of a shotgun-oriented person, that makes perfect sense. The best kinetic shotgun, in my opinion, is the Dustrock Blues. There are a few others, and the new Trial shotgun, from what I've heard, is a kinetic shotgun that has quick draw on it, so it's going to be like a kinetic Mindbenders. We'll see if that actually turns out to be like that when that shotgun comes out in week 2, week 3 of Trials. And then here in the number 8 spot, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9th spot rather, is Thorn, which definitely surprises me. I thought that Thorn would be much closer to the top. I thought that Thorn was going to do really, really well. It did make it in the top 10, which is awesome, but I thought Thorn was going to do it better. And I personally used the Thorn, and it is so nasty. And don't laugh at the Thorn at all, because if you are over leveled, like if you're light level 1,000 plus, like 1,010, 1,020, or even beyond, Thorn just absolutely collapse people that are under leveled. The tick damage when you get the charge perk does like 8s or even 9s. It's just crazy. So Thorn, I think, is a little bit low ranked on this list, but it's on here. And the number 10 spot is so surprising to me. The Jotun? The Toaster? What is the Toaster doing here? This doesn't even make sense to me. Who is you rocking this thing that much? I played all weekend. I didn't see it at all. Maybe it's more of a console thing. But on PC, I barely saw any Toasters. But the Toaster is literally putting in numbers, dude. 238,000 kills with the Toaster. Like, that's kind of crazy. I might have to bust out the Toaster today. Apparently, it's still extremely good, extremely potent. So that's that for the meta. Let me know what y'all think. I'm at the lighthouse here in this little clip. And that's going to be a wrap for this video. Hopefully you all can take this information and use this, help build your fire teams. Obviously, team shooting is really strong. So many people come to me every day and they're like, what advice do you have for me to go flawless? What advice do you have for me? Like, what can you give me? Like, how can you help me? And honestly, the best things I can say is, use the strongest weapons, some of those top 10 weapons. You don't have to use all of them, you don't have to completely, bend the knee to the meta, but at least try to use some of those because they're in the top 10 for a reason, because they're so potent, so strong. And, work with your team. Rotate through the map with your team. It's so hard to consistently do this, but once you finally do get good at rotating through the map with your team and team shooting as much as you can, you will find a ton more success, because when you roam around individually, you end up getting team shot, and everything falls apart. In the last thing I'll say is, in elimination, the game mode specifically, the first pick, the first kill for either team usually wins the round. Like, usually the round is won based on which team gets the first kill. So focus on that. If you can get the first kill and then collapse on the enemy team, you'll win so many more rounds. If you lose the first kill, you can do a variety of different strategies. You can, put down those Citan Titan walls to try and get those revives fast, get those bodies back up. You can rotate through the map to try and lure the enemies away from the body and then come back. But, ultimately you want to get the first pick, and if you can't get the first pick, don't let yourself get overwhelmed by a team just completely bombarding you. So that's my advice. Enjoy this video, and I'll see you all on live stream, twitch.tv Lucky10p. Have a good one. Later.